Attack of the Killer Donuts is about a chemical accident that turns regular donuts into killer donuts in a small little town. Hey everybody, John Franklin Reviewer, and I'm actually finally getting a chance to talk about this movie. Last October I had a small stack of movies, and this was one of them, along with Jack Frost 2, I've already reviewed those two, Final Exam, and Zombievers. Now, Final Exam, Zombievers, and this one I'm finally going to get a chance to get to, and I figured, well, why not just go in alphabetical order and start off with our Attack of the Killer Donuts. Now, is this a good movie, or is this one that I would say just forget about it? Well, let's get right into our likes and dislikes. Let's start with the like. Well, the first thing I got to talk about are the beginning credits. It's a pretty simple thing to talk about here. Just donuts falling down like it's rain going through the names and all that while the credits are going, and I really do like the score. It's a pretty catchy score at the very beginning, I do like. When it comes to acting in this movie, everybody does a good job. So just to throw this out real quick, even for characters I'm going to talk about in the dislikes, I just feel like that they all still did their best. They were all very believable. So just kind of keep that in mind when you get to my dislikes. Characters I do want to talk about, actually really only two of them. And one of them is Uncle Lester, who is a scientist who is trying to bring back, I guess, animals back to life. I don't know about people. Because when we first see him, he's trying to bring back a dead mouse or a rat. And at first it does work, and then all of a sudden it explodes. So it's like, of course, he had to adjust the chemicals that he was using to try to figure out how to do this. And actually, when I mean about bringing them back to life, really bringing them back to life, I don't mean zombie. Another character that I really do like is Michelle. She is the smart, wisecracking, beautiful character, and she's the one that I really like to go back to. When I watched this movie, even though I've only watched this movie like twice, maybe 3 times since last October, she's the one that I really do like more than Uncle Lester. Uncle Lester has a lot of cool things, a lot of great dialogue in his part there too of the movie, but she's the one that I just really like, and I'm like, yeah, this is the character that I would like to be almost like my hero, to save my butt from anything, even if it is Killer Donuts. I really do like her there. I definitely do like the Killer Donuts. They're another thing why I come back to it, that it's not one of these things where that you only see them here or there. They're actually in the movie a lot, and I really do like that. It wasn't like one of those that they just sprinkle them in here and there, and it's like, oh, come on, it's all about these characters that you don't care about. It's almost like Godzilla or King Kong, where you want to see the monster. You don't care that much about the actors as much. You want to see this monster just destroying whatever it's destroying. Well, this one, they are definitely in the movie a lot. Definitely when they do finally show them a lot, they are front and center. You know that they, of course, are your villains. I mean, you know that just by the title alone. I like them, even though they are special effects, but I really don't mind that. I really don't. And also thinking about special effects is every single death, and you can tell that there too, that it's not practical blood and all that there. But again, I actually don't got any problem, because I'm so entertained with the story, so entertained with the direction and the writing. Say the CGI bad guys and the CGI blood, believe it or not, actually doesn't bother me in this movie. A lot of other movies it does, but something about this one I'm like, I'm okay with it. No big deal and all that there. When it comes to the humor, in my opinion, it really does take a while to get there. I feel like the first half, there's a few chuckles here or there, but when you get to the second half, that's when they really start revving it up to a 10, where it's like, oh, almost everything that's going on is funny as hell. And then the final thing I got to talk about with the likes is Act 3. I love Act 3. This has got to be one of my favorite Act 3s in like 10 years, I would probably say, maybe even longer, where I was just very entertained. It was like so stupid and so cheesy, and besides, it's gonna be stupid and cheesy. It's not one of these serious Shakespearean donut killer movies or anything like that even exists. But the thing was that I really just liked how hilarious, how stupid everything really was, and it was great all the way, most of it all the way until the end. And now on to the dislikes. Well, the first thing we got to talk about is Johnny, our main character. Now remember what I said in the likes. everybody did a damn good job with their acting, but there's other stuff that I wouldn't like about certain characters. This is our main character that I'm not a big fan of. Well, he's kind of that underdog story where you want to root for him, but personally for me, I can't root for this guy one bit. It's one of those things where he puts his head in the sand, he lets everybody just walk all over him, and he acts like it's just perfectly fine. And whenever we get through his whole story arc, I'm just like, I really don't believe it. I mean, I believe what happens to him would happen to someone in real life for sure, but this guy was just so really too dumb. I just really couldn't root for this guy one bit. And when we finally get to Act 3, the big battle where he thinks he's almost kind of a Rambo wannabe to take on these donuts and all that, I was just like, nah. I would have believed more if Michelle was more the main character than he was personally. Then another character I got to talk about is Cliff, which is Johnny and Michelle's boss at the donut shop. Well, the only reason why I want to bring this guy up, he's a complete douche. And we all had a boss like that. I would be surprised if anybody in the comment section, like, you know what, I never had a mean boss at one point. Well, then maybe he or she was one of the lucky ones. But most people always get that I only care about money, not my customers or my employees kind of boss. And it's just, I hated this guy. I hated him when we first see him all the way until, and I guess call it a spoiler if you want, till he dies. And it was just like, yeah, maybe his death could have been a lot better, but you know, I'm just happy he was all out of the movie. Then I'm going to really talk about one of these here, but there were two really stupid, silly, and quick fights. Now, I guess the like is that the fights wasn't that long, but just how amateur, almost like two toddlers like whapping at each other, it seems like there. But one of the fights was what causes the donuts to mutate. And the thing was, it was the thing with Uncle Lester going into the donut shop to talk to his nephew and the boss Cliff. And the thing is that they just had, again, just the most stupidest fight. But what happened was the uncle ended up having a vial of liquid, a little tube of liquid that would actually, get these donuts to do what they're going to do. And what happens is it just flies out of his pocket. It's almost that they use like, fishing rod or something, and it just flies right out like a cartoon and goes right in the bag. Nobody actually sees this tube going anywhere and goes right into the fryer of the donuts there. And I thought, oh, so that's how you had to get the story going on then. I felt like they could have done something better, but at least once you get going on the donuts, that's what really makes it all worthwhile there. And then maybe the next two would probably be a preference for people about, like or dislike here. Maybe it's more of a gripe. The first thing I got to talk about is that there are some scenes in this movie that really do drag, and it's like, okay, and we get that every movie does that, but this is one of those movies you think, let's just get it going, let's kind of get in, get out, and don't stay or welcome longer than we need to. And there are times I feel like it's like, come on, we get the point, we know what's going to happen. You don't need any kind of suspense, I feel like, when it comes to a movie like this. And then the final thing is that for people who have weak stomachs, I would definitely not recommend this movie. It doesn't happen a whole lot, maybe 2, maybe 3 times, where people, and they actually do show it, I mean, maybe not a whole lot, but they do show a couple people crapping their pants until they die. And I was just like, oh, that's very disgusting. And there's even a couple times where people throw up too. And I'm not a big fan of either one of these. I have a strong stomach when it comes to violence, but when it comes to stuff like that, I always feel like I gotta look away, and I'm not a huge fan of something like that. Now, my rating for this is gonna go 2.5 out of 4 stars. I definitely do recommend this movie, only for people who do have those strong stomach. So, Attack of the Killer Clowns. For people out there who have actually seen this movie, do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you agree with anything that I actually said? Give me a comment down below. So thank you guys so much. Please subscribe. Please like if you enjoyed this. And stay awesome.